everybody, my name is Shoshani and I want to welcome all of you guys to Multi 2021. First and foremost, before I say anything more, I want to give a huge shout out to all the students and staff at Renton High School. We've had to pull so much out of ourselves and each other to pull through this hard time. And I want to let you guys know we are going to be okay. You guys are superstars, superhuman, and superheroes. All of the supers. Even though the pandemic has been hard and everything hasn't been normal and a lot of things have been stopped, culture never stops, which is why we need to keep the tradition of multi going no matter the circumstances, so we can showcase the diversity and different cultures we have within our school. Okay, for 1 second, I'm just going to ask everybody to close their eyes and let me set the stage. So you're with all of your family. You guys are sharing all your latest life events, music is playing, it's just a good vibe. And then you get that smell in the air. That one family member got asked to make their famous recipe that they get asked to make at every family function because it's just too good. And you start thinking, we know what time it is, it's time to grub. Now that we all have that feeling in our hearts, to start off our show, our very own principal, Dr. Saint Martin, is going to show us how she gives that feeling to her loved ones, with a ceviche recipe inspired by generations in her family.
Hi, this is Dr. Giovanna San Martin. As many of you know me, I'm the Renton High School proud principal. And today I am here to celebrate Multicultural Show and Multicultural Week. As you know, next week is one of our most exciting weeks of the whole school year because we are about to celebrate inclusion, diversity, identity, and all of those topics that make us human and let everybody know how we are made. So for today, I'm going to be letting you know a little bit about my family, and I'm gonna kind of mix it all together as to part of International Women's Day, which happens to be on March 8th. And I also wanna honor the whole month of March, which is Women's Month. Very important time for all of us, indeed. And I am here from the culinary room at Renton High School. Look at this place, it's amazing. And further to my right, because we're trying to keep the 6 feet distance since I'm not wearing a mask, is our culinary teacher, Miss Lauren Hassan. So for today, I'm going to be fixing something that is incredibly traditional from Lima, Peru, which is called ceviche. But before I get to that, I want to let you know, since I have this opportunity, to tell you who I am in terms of my family. So I brought with me the most memorable, important, smart, skillful, and beautiful woman that surrounds me and my identity. So let's start by introducing to you my Peruvian side. This is my Mama Julia. She's from the coast of Peru. She's deceased now, but she certainly taught me really well how to cook ceviche. Then I have my other grandmother. I know her like Mama Luz, which comes from her name Lucia, and she's actually Italian and is my Italian heritage. And from her came my mom, Maria. Okay, yes, in my family everybody is named Maria, so just whatever, right? But that's definitely a very important name in our family. However, I did not get it, but everybody else did. So this is my mom, Maria Ramos, Viuda de San Martin, and she is definitely my inspiration. And from her came me, which I ought to be humble and let you know that I am just very proud to be in this country and to have been given the honor to be next to you as your principal and someone who is going to be taking care of you for 4 years of your high school career. So here we are, Mama Julia, Mama Luz, Mama and myself, and as you can see, I'm a product of a huge marination since we are in the culinary world right now. So this is for my family, and now let's get to that ceviche. So for ceviche, which is a traditional dish in the coast of Peru, it goes all the way to the time of the Incas. And the Spaniards, when they came, well, I suppose to conquer us, they brought a different type of juices and condiments that made the Peruvian traditional food very tasty, not like it wasn't before. So let me show you what ingredients you actually use for ceviche. Now we have our ceviche ready, and Mr. Villalobos is going to give you the best look. As you can see, it's beautifully garnished and will also be delicious, and is the type of thing that you want to have with cold water or a really nice refresher, because it's definitely going to be a little bit on the spicy side. Very nutritious, incredibly flavorful. Your family is going to love it. So from Mama Julia, Mama Lucia, myself, and my mother, from our family to yours. Happy Multicultural Week.
I didn't know she could cook. That looks really good. To watch the full video tutorial, keep watching after the credits to see how you yourself can make this delicious ceviche from home.
Say hello in Thai. If you were a girl, you would say Sawatdee ka, but if you were a boy, you would say Sawatdee ka. Nei ho, that is hello in Cantonese. Apa kabar, which translates to how are you in Malay.
Hola, and this is how you say hello in Spanish.
Next up, we have an origami lesson from our Japanese research club, followed by an original art piece from Leslie Davina. This piece is titled Mono on Ware. It is a Japanese notion to take note and appreciate the impermanence of life. This concept is deeply tied to that of the cherry blossoms because of their full bloom period that amounts to about 1 week. Okay, before we go on any further, dance break. Your turn. Psych. Next up, we have Miss Kayopanya in Philippine flag-inspired clothing. Then, a modern-style Filipina bolera dress cover. Miss Kayopanya's daughter, Lily, is going to be wearing a traditional Laotian dress, along with holding the older Laotian flag.
Yeah.
This is the Vietnamese myth of Ao Cơ and Lac Lam Quân, who is believed to be the creator of Vietnamese civilization. Lac Lam Quân was the son of a Vietnamese king thousands of years ago. He was called Lord of Lac because his mother descended from a line of dragons. He possessed extraordinary strength and supreme intelligence. His mother's underwater clan attributed to his love of the ocean, and he would always be spotted near the shoreline enjoying the waves and looking at the many sea creatures. Ao Cơ was an immortal mountain fairy whose clan lived primarily in the highlands of ancient Vietnam. Some believed her to be of Chinese descent, but it is unknown. After Lac Lam Quân and Ao Cơ marriage, Ao Cơ gave birth to a sack containing 100 eggs, and those 100 eggs hatched to become their children. After some time in their marriage, Lac Lam Quân got restless because he moved to inland Vietnam for Ao Cơ, but he started to miss the ocean. Ao Cơ also missed the jungles and highlands of Vietnam that she grew up in. In the end, the couple decided to separate. 50 of the children will go with Lac Lam Quân to the coast, and 50 will follow Ao Cơ to dwell in the highlands of Vietnam. However, they promised each other that despite the distance and separation, they must always look after each other and will always be there to lend a hand if the other one needs it. In the coast, Lac Lam Quân taught his children how to fish and the art of tattoo to scare off sea creatures so they can dive and hunt for food. In the highlands and jungles, Ao Cơ taught her children how to breed animals and cultivate the soil to grow fruit trees for food. She also taught them how to build houses on raised bamboo stilts to keep themselves safe from wild animals. This story is important because it shows us that it does not matter where we each come from in Vietnam because we all belong to one origin. Just as Lac Lam Quân and Ao Cơ promised each other, all Vietnamese should love, honor, and protect one another. This legend then has become the pride and bond of unity for all Vietnamese peoples.
This next act has been a blast to watch over the years. From famous moves like do-do-do-do to it's a little different this year, but you won't be disappointed because, it's K-pop. Everybody give it up for Kate, Kendall, Miles, Narciso, Sydney, Taylor, and Tran.
Pick it up, pick it so 두근거렸던 게 문제야 만약 그게 대체 왜 죄야 선을 넘은 거야 escalator 어른한 얘기를 내게 던져 Moving to you 어느 날 떨어진 거야 둘 만나게 됐다면 넌 어떨 것 같아 생각만 해도 무섭다 얼굴은 찌푸렸지만 내게 얘기 못해 잘 들어 살짝 설렜어
혼자가 아니라 우리 위라서 또 걱정 없이 달리지 So 열정의 사람은 내 생각은 왜 하나 둘 셋 넷 Left and right Left and right Left and right Whip it whip it Left and right Left and right Left and right Whip it whip it 같이 가보자 걱정 없이
This is a traditional Filipino dress. It is called the Filipiniana. It is a formal outfit for women during the Spanish colonial period, especially in the 1890s. It was also a symbol of femininity back then. The designs on the dress combines both indigenous and Spanish elements. The sleeves of the dress are similar to the so-called angel wings or shaped like bells. However, the dress was starting to be worn less because of the change in mindset of femininity and society's expectation on how a woman should dress.
So, I know we all know about that quarantine hungry. You don't want another peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're out of pizza rolls and DoorDash is like $50. No worries. This next act is sure to add some variety to your taste buds. Onmitsu is a traditional Japanese sweet dating back to Japan's Meiji era, 1868 to 1912. It's commonly eaten as a summer treat, but due to its flexibility can be made in any season. This dessert combines a healthy and low-calorie ingredient called agar, dango, anko, a special sauce made from black sugar, and your choice of fruits. You can even use a little ice cream in it for more flavor and more coolness. Please enjoy this video from Laura, Max Vu, and Lavania. I hope everyone is enjoying this show. It is so great and refreshing to see all of the cultures that we have right in front of our faces. Last but not least, we have our Black Student Union showing us their culture, featuring Priscilla Hagan and Trishani Lewis.
Hi guys, this is Priscilla Hagan, the current president for BSU, and due to COVID, not being able to perform what we usually do on stage has bummed me out, but we're not going to let that stop us from showing out. Before we get into the content, I wanted to quickly just share what makes Black beautiful. I love being able to embrace what makes us who we are and what shapes our identity. We possess a different type of strength and versatility, and our melanin skin and unique style are beautiful characteristics that we hold. We bring such beautiful magic into the world, and we hold lots of power and talent, which showcases our brilliance and creativity.
Showing some of Mike and I in Toma Claus outfits.
Bad boy Tim's in the building. Spiritual ginger.
My name is Trishani. I'm a junior at Renton High School, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about Majorette. Majorette is a style of dance created by a Black woman named Dorothy Hurst. She founded and trained a Majorette dance team named the Tigerettes, who were associated with the Tiger Cat football team located in Hamilton in the 1960s. Other schools began to follow Dorothy's lead, making Majorette popular at historical Black colleges all around the country. If we fast forward to the current day, Majorette can be found in all of our favorite dance styles: contemporary, hip-hop, jazz, and more. Majorette is not only a dance style, but it's a lifestyle. It embodies poise, sass, and sheer elegance. Because Majorette is so awesome, I want to share my culture with you guys, so enjoy this video.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Hi, my name is Trishani Lewis.
Hip-hop originated in the predominantly African-American, economically depressed South Bronx section of New York City in the late 1970s. The first hip-hop DJ was DJ Kool Herc. Using 2 turntables, he melded percussive fragments from older records with popular dance songs to create a continuous flow of music. Hip-hop was created for African Americans to express themselves in a way that they knew how, through creativity. In a world where not much has changed with the discrimination and underrepresentation of African Americans, we are responsible for a great amount of movements today on social media, where we infuse hip-hop into TikTok and Instagram challenges all over the world. Today, I'm going to show you a snippet of one of the many challenges blowing up on social media by Black creators. It's called the #Up Challenge, choreographed by a Black man named Sean Bankhead.
So in this section, I'm just going to be talking about everything African related. The first clip you saw were clothes that were sewn for me in Ghana, and these are the traditional cloth that is designed for various African cultures and traditions. There's also kente, which was not shown in my video, but is shown right now, and kente is a type of silk fabric made of interwoven cloth strips. You might have seen it worn on African students on graduation day across the United States. Each color represents different values and traditions: green for the earth, good health; yellow for preciousness, loyalty; white for innocence, healing; gold for wealth, and spiritual purity. So in the next clip, you will be seeing a quick Afrobeats choreography that I found. Afrobeats dance is coined from the music genre Afrobeats, describing upbeat, quick-paced dance that goes along with the music. It is a very diverse and fascinating style of dance.
Give me hanky, and I'm on the t-shirts. Give me t-shirts. Have fun with it. Coffee. Coffee, 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 coffee.
Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. It was so nice to see all of our school's cultures being displayed. It really showed us how together we are while still having uniqueness about each and every one of us. But don't let the unity and togetherness stop after Multi-Week. Stand with your peers at all times, and let's celebrate each other's culture every day. My name is Trishani Lewis, and thank you so much for letting me be your guys' Multi 2021 MC. And remember the motto: pride, tradition, and excellence.
This is Dr. Giovanna San Martin. As many of you know me, I'm the Renton High School proud principal, and today I am here to celebrate Multicultural Show and Multicultural Week. As you know, next week is one of our most exciting weeks of the whole school year because we are about to celebrate inclusion, diversity, identity, and all of those topics that make us human and let everybody know how we're made. So for today, I'm going to be letting you know a little bit about my family, and I'm gonna kind of mix it all together as to part of International Women's Day, which happens to be on March 8th. And I also wanna honor the whole month of March, which is Women's Month. Very important time for all of us, indeed. And I am here from the culinary room at Renton High School. Look at this place, it's amazing. And further to my right, because we're trying to keep the 6 feet distance since I'm not wearing a mask, is our culinary teacher, Miss Lauren Hassan. So for today, I'm going to be fixing something that is incredibly traditional from Lima, Peru, which is called ceviche. But before I get to that, I want to let you know, since I have this opportunity, to tell you who I am in terms of my family. So I brought with me the most memorable, important, smart, skillful, and beautiful woman that surrounds me and my identity. So let's start by introducing to you my Peruvian side. This is my Mama Julia. She is from the coast of Peru. She's deceased now, but she certainly taught me really well how to cook ceviche. Then I have my other grandmother. I know her like Mama Luz, which comes from her name Lucia, and she's actually Italian and is my Italian heritage. And from her came my mom, Maria. Okay, yes, in my family everybody is named Maria, so just whatever, right? But that's definitely a very important name in our family. However, I did not get it, but everybody else did. So this is my mom, Maria Ramos, Viuda de San Martin. And she is definitely my inspiration. And from her came me, which I ought to be humble and let you know that I am just very proud to be in this country and to have been given the honor to be next to you as your principal and someone who is going to be taking care of you for 4 years of your high school career. So, here we are. Mama Julia, Mama Luz, Mama, and myself. And as you can see, I'm a product of a huge marination since we are in the culinary world right now. So this is for my family. And now let's get to that ceviche. So for ceviche, which is a traditional dish in the coast of Peru, it goes all the way to the time of the Incas. And the Spaniards, when they came, well, I suppose to conquer us, they brought a different type of juices and condiments that made the Peruvian traditional food very tasty, not like it wasn't before. So let me show you what ingredients you actually use for ceviche. Most important, the fish. So for today, I'm going to be using tilapia, but actually for the people have choices, and some of the choices will be sea bass, it will be flounder, or it will be sole. So you can use any of these types, but today I'm using tilapia. Now, ceviches have many variations when it comes to seafood. So you could have any type of seafood that you want, but for today we are going to use tilapia. Then we use sweet potatoes. So you can see them any size, any form. Why do you use sweet potatoes with the ceviche? Ceviche is traditionally a very spicy dish. So you want to be able to have something that takes away the spice, and nothing better than a sweet potato. Then, on that idea, we are also going to be using some corn. I mean, nothing compares to the Peruvian corn, but we're going to have to do with corn on the cob, super sweet, yellow, organic. But just so you know, if you were in Peru or you will be in the markets and you will be buying corn, the corn is just humongous and is a much harder texture than the one that you will be having, but it still works very nicely. Then ceviche is made with red onions, so you can choose organic, non-organic. It's completely up to you, but it's a dish that is based on tilapia and onions. To these onions, you are gonna be using a lot of spices. Now, again, we're gonna have to look for substitutes because we don't have the Peruvian ají. I mean, you can always go to a Latin American store. They have plenty. There is a couple in Renton, there is one in Kent, and my favorite one is actually in Shoreline, but it's worth the 45 minutes drive. For this time, I'm gonna be use a spicy hot pepper, and I also use the little orange ones. They are called hot peppers, but there are these ones, and they really create that spicy feeling in your mouth. So when you cut those, this can actually get to your skin, so be very careful. So here you have it, hot peppers. Then the only way to cook ceviche is marinating the fish, and this is no different from sushi. So the way that you cook it is, please never boil ceviche, at least not for the Peruvian recipe. Peruvian way, you actually cook the fish with lemon. So we are gonna be using lime juice, Sicilian lemon juice, just to be able to make it a little bit more practical, but make sure that you also mix the real thing. So I will be using their equivalent. So this is the way that you're gonna be cooking it. And it does take a good 2-3 hours for you to be able to consume the ceviche, as it has to be cooked, and it's going to be cooked by the lemon juice. This one I have Italian parsley, which is gonna give it an amazing flavor. This piece along with the hot peppers is what is really gonna make a difference in your ceviche. In a way, ceviche is the most colorful flavor type of food that you want, and you're gonna see when we get to the decoration piece of the ceviche, because that's what it makes it even better looking than what it tastes. So one more thing I want to share with you before we move ahead is If you are like me and you have a very busy schedule, and believe me, being a principal of a high school keeps you very busy, you can take advantage of these pre-mixed pieces. You can buy them online, you can buy them anywhere, but they are ceviche mix. One of my favorites is Provençal. So, this is for showing you all the different ingredients that you need to make ceviche. And I think this is about it before we get to cook. So today, our culinary teacher, Miss Hassan, is going to be using this video as well for her international gourmet classes. So she's gonna be making the honors of showing you how to do the right cutting and all of those wonderful things. But I will get to direct her on what ingredients you get to do and what do you do next. So let's start. The very first thing that you wanna do before you cook ceviche and you have all of your ingredients ready to do is, number one thing, you have to wash the fish. So prior to this video, I filled this container with warm water, and you wanna rinse your ceviche fish, which in this case is tilapia, for about, a good 10 minutes of lukewarm water. So after you have washed your fish, the next thing that you wanna do is you wanna take care of those sweet potatoes, because you're gonna have to boil them. You will then grab your sweet potatoes. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to cut the sweet potatoes in like about, you can see this size, probably 4 pieces, because again, the ceviche is very spicy, so you want to have something that makes it a little easier if you are not too much into the spicy thing. But you can also put less hot peppers, right? So, Miss Hassan, would you kindly cut the sweet potatoes into 4 pieces each, and then you can tell the public how you boil it.
Okay, so before you cut, you want a damp towel under your cutting board so that it doesn't move. Okay, usually cut with your chef knife. And we just claw and cut.
Okay, and now you get to do everything again 4 times.
Okay.
Now, the next piece that we want to do is cut the onions. Now, for this recipe, again, it calls for red onions. And the most important part is that they are sliced very, very thin. I mean, so thin that you have to be very careful when you cut. Now, I'm one of those people that when it's cooking, it has to clean everything at the moment. I like to cook with everything clean as I go. So, as you can see, there is 2 pieces. Now I'm going to proceed to cut them, and again, they need to be like definitely very, very thin. Now, regularly, the most important part when you are cooking, what is? To have fun. So it would not be that I'm talking and you need to listen to the different pieces of the recipe. I will be listening to some music, and most likely it will be Peruvian music, which will be salsa, and then I probably will be dancing, but I will spare you from all of that today. Let me show you how the slicing go and how thin this actually is. So I'm gonna be putting those right there. For this recipe, again, 10 to 15 people, you do wanna fill the fish, so 4 medium to large size onions are plenty.
One way to get your onion to so that you're not crying is put them in the fridge or give them a nice ice bath, quick ice bath, because it'll close. It's kind of like our pores. They're cutting through their pores, and that's why they're letting off a gas, where if you leave them in the fridge, then that pore will stay nice and tight.
Oh wow.
Like your skin.
Also, after you cut your onions, good idea always to be and start washing your hands just as you are changing, right? On the knife, washing the knife.
Yep. wash, sanitize, wash, rinse, and sanitize both, and the board.
Well, right now I'm going to go wash my hands, and the next thing that we're gonna do is I need to rinse the onions. So, as mentioned before, I went and I rinsed the onions, and again I let it, and run under the water for about 5 minutes maybe. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be making 2 sets of ceviches. So I'm going to be splitting this half on one container and half on the other one. Now, next, we are going to cut the pescado, the tilapia fish. So Miss Hassan is going to be, again, helping us to cut the tilapia. So could you please show our public how to cut it? How am I supposed to cut it? I just wanted to see what she was going to say. So it's actually very easy to cut the fish. The idea is to kind of fillet it to your right. Some people start by cutting it in the middle. You break it into different pieces, and then you just cut it to the right.
Should I stop it after?
Just like this. No super thin, but also no as thick. So kind of maybe half an inch. Yeah, very good. So let me show this to you. These are perfect pieces.
There are these 2. So is there a reason you cut on the diagonal?
To be honest, that's the way that my grandmothers taught me how to do it. So I pretty much, this is the thing about cooking. I've seen dishes that our families have, taught us how.
Yep.
I mean, people don't really discuss how many onions or how many pieces of fish or what it goes. I mean, those are recipes that just go from generation to generation, which is why it's so beautiful to show this during the Multicultural Week, because it really speaks to the identity of the family and how they want to serve, the dishes to their guests, family, and friends. So, but yeah, good question. No, there is, at least nobody told me that part of the recipe, put it that way.
I think that's natural. I think in our family, it's was a pinch of this and a dash of that.
Yep.
And my great grandmother wrote everything in a dress book, not a cookbook. And everything was a dash, a pinch, and you're like, well, what is a dash? What's a pinch? And she's like, you're just gonna have to taste it and try it until you get to that taste.
To that taste. That's exactly it, and that's how I was taught to cook. And I actually happen to love cooking. I mean, there is nothing that relaxes me more after a very hard day. I guess my husband is pretty lucky that for me to go home and just start cooking. And that can really take my mind away, and I just can focus on fixing something that is nutritional but at the same time delicious. So, but yeah, it is amazing how different it is to learn from family to cook versus just following a recipe. Both pieces are equally good. It's just, I will say, with the first one, you are a recipient of the traditions. With the second one, you are starting your own traditions. And then hopefully you will pass that to your children and friends and so forth. This is a dish that is consumed primarily spring and definitely summer. And it's a coast dish, so definitely it's related to the ocean, and people tend to enjoy when they go to the ocean and getting together with families and friends. There is nothing better than to have a ceviche. Okay, that's it. Now I'm gonna go wash my hands, and then I'm gonna come back and cut the peppers. Hi, we're almost at the last stages of fixing our ceviche and basically all of the prep. Next, we're gonna be cutting the different type of peppers. Again, we would be using, and you can find Peruvian hot peppers but these ones do rather well as well. So while I'm doing this, Miss Hassan is going to be cutting or chopping the parsley. So that comes next. So right now you can see I have 4 different setups. You can of course use a huge container. That is my preference, but today we are using 4 small ones. So there is no reason why not to put them now. So I'm just gonna go and put those spices, and again, it's all based to your comfort. So I'm gonna do one that is going to be very spicy, one medium spice, one non-spice at all, and just with a little bit. So everybody is, you know, comfortable. You wanna cut it really, really small because you will have them in your mouth, which means can get a little difficult. So before we actually put the fish into these containers, we are going to start marinating this fish, okay? So for that purpose, let me see. And this is actually really good because as you are going to be squeezing the lime and the lemon, if your hands have still a little bit of the seeds, it's going to neutralize your hands, so you are not gonna have a problem. But I do recommend washing your hands quite a bit and not touching any part of your body, or else it's going to be a little difficult. So what you do is you start letting all that juice into the container or bowl. So prior to this, I squeezed some lime juice, but now we're also going to use some lemon. And the reality is the Peruvian recipes use a different variety of citrus. And so some people can actually they do use oranges as well, and passion fruit.
Okay, I was going to ask you about the orange.
Yeah. I mean, most traditional ceviche does come with that. My family always use lemon and lime, so that's what I use. So there are 2 ways to do this. One of those is you can marinate your fish just by itself, or you can actually do it all together. Within my family, we just like to go ahead and finish it, so we are going to split some pieces into these 4 containers. You want to try to do it equally. So this is very important. This also has a name. It's called tigre de leche. The translation will be like kind of like a tiger's milk. And at the end of the day, this is gonna turn into a little bit like almost like milk, you know, like kind of like a wider color. But right now we are gonna pour it, and we are continue, because this one contains the flavor of the fish. So that's really important that you get all there. Usually at this level, I remember my grandmother putting a little bit of water. So kind of your citrus and a little bit of water. I don't. So I have made this recipe now a little bit of a smudge. So if I were to pass it to someone else, I will not add water, but they used to. So I'm going to pour a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. And we are gonna do another one. I think you can put now a little bit more of parsley with all of those. Okay, so finally, for this recipe, and that's the last thing we're gonna do prior cleaning all of this and getting it ready, you know, to set it up. This is when you can use this type of seasoning mix as a base, you know, for the ceviche. Now, this makes it a lot easier. Otherwise, you will need to be using celery, more lime. You will need to blend it and try to get a little bit of the base. divided equally in 4 portions. Can you put a little bit more? Okay, thank you. Okay, as far as it goes, this ceviche is already done, but now I'm definitely gonna need, at this point, your hands are off and you do need, you know, to be able to mix it with a spoon, with tweezers, whatever it makes it easier for you. The fish is already starting to cook very nicely. You can see the texture, you can see how pretty it starts to look, you know, how healthy it is. I mean, there is nothing more nutritional than a ceviche, and there is nothing that has less calories than a ceviche. So you were to have a diet of ceviche, fruit in Peru, I mean, you'll be very healthy.
And the onions are getting translucent as well.
Yep,
So
yep, it's all cooking.
So I'm feeling the
Sweet potatoes, also known as camotes in Spanish.
And basically, you're just taking the skin off.
And again, remember, the reason why we have corn and sweet potatoes or camotes on the ceviche, it's not because they are also delicious within the different mixes and flavors, but also because the ceviche can be a very spicy dish, so we need something to kind of take down how high it is. And this is basically one of the last pieces that you are gonna do as you're fixing ceviche. Also, we had a head of lettuce, so you pretty much clean it up, you open up in pieces. Definitely all ceviche comes with this type of leaf, which is a lettuce, and it needs to be as, you don't really need to per se cut it, just peel it into different pieces, you know, and then what we're gonna move to is into the presentation of the ceviche, okay? So ceviche is a very colorful, flavorful dish, and you definitely don't wanna miss into that into your presentation. So for today, we are going to use some white dishes, but just know that a lot of people try to go with the context of the ocean, so they look for blue dishes or kind of turquoise dishes or anything that represents the waves and the ocean or overall the Peruvian coast. For today, we are going to be using these ones. So the very first thing you do is you grab a piece of lettuce, and remember, you are gonna basically, as a minimum, when you do have the leaf, it needs to be able to fill the size of your hand, because this is where you are actually going to be putting the ceviche, okay? So you put one right here. So by now, your ceviche would have been marinated for a good 3 hours as a minimum. Again, in my family, we fix it and we eat it next day, like at around noon, 2 o'clock at the latest. 2 o'clock is usually a very good time, and that traditionally, that will be the time within Peruvians have lunch. Now I got my spoon, might be a little bigger of what I was thinking of, but it will do. So tweezers is also a really good tool that you can use, but this will work very nicely. So right now, you wanna scoop, and look, Miss Hassan, the fish is already white.
Oh yeah.
Hasn't really taken, you know, more than, I will say, half an hour for this to be able to be almost cooked. So anyway, you again will fill the center of the lettuce. That's a perfectly good amount. But of course, when you are with family, you feel very generous and you do want to scoop a little bit of the fish, right?
Yeah.
So I'm adding a few more pieces here. Now, something that's very important is to be able to get the citrus out of the ceviche. I hope the camera is pointing on this very good, but you can see that it's starting to get a little thick, still watery, but it's starting to get into a pink color, and eventually it's going to be white. So if you were to wait for 24 hours, the color is going to vary. Don't worry about it. That means that's actually ready to eat. We are gonna put a piece of sweet potato on the side and the corn. As you can see, this is already looking beautiful. So if you wanna garnish a little bit more, garnishing the ceviche, again, as using different type of fish, you can actually use additional seafood. You know, some people tend to put, depending on how spicy it is, and just for this one, I'm actually gonna be putting 2 pieces because this one is really, really spicy. Now, my family always added palta, which translation is avocado. And the Peruvian avocados are very well known all over the world, and because they are huge. And so people actually cut half of the avocado and that will be on top. Some people, I mean, like a more younger generation of Peruvians, cut it in chunks and they put it, and that also looks very pretty, but the traditional one actually is exactly half the avocado, and you can put it on top, and then you can garnish with parsley and make it look very pretty. You can cut a little bit of lime and put it on the side. And as I mentioned before, a lot of Peruvians have ceviche really, really spicy. So many of them are actually gonna have the pieces of ají on top. So there you have it. Here is our ceviche for today. Look at it. Well, now we have our ceviche ready, and Mr. Villalobos is gonna give you the best look. As you can see, it's beautifully garnished and will also be delicious, and is the type of thing that you wanna have with cold water or a really nice refresher, because it's definitely gonna be a little bit on the spicy side. Very nutritious, incredibly flavorful. Your family is going to love it. So, from Mama Julia, Mama Lucia, myself, and my mother, from our family to yours. Happy Multicultural Week. How is it?
It's tasty.
Oh, he's just saying that because he's just trying to keep eating.
And I'm hungry.
Let's ask him again. Mr. Villalobos, how good is the ceviche today?
It's very good.
It's very good, just very good. You don't tell a Peruvian woman it's just very good. I'm gonna have to ask you again. Is it the best dish that you have ever tried in your whole entire life made by me?
Made by you, yes.
There you have it. Well, as you all can see, he's truly enjoying it, and I assure you that that will be the same for your family.